G'day guys and gal, one of the most grimdark parts of the Imperium from Warhammer 40k is that to get around the law that they cannot make true AI anymore, people will get lobotomized, turn into cyborg slaves, and their brains being more or less used as a computer. The other loophole is that machines have machine spirits, which is basically like AI, but not really. However, just how much of a human is left over after becoming servitorized? Is there still a level of consciousness left over, or are they more or less a fleshy robot? Can someone become unservitized or break through from their servitization? Before we get started, you may, but probably are not, wondering what we've been cooking for dice dioramas this month. Last month, we gave away the incredible Big E diorama to Finley, adding him to our Hall of Fame with the rest of our winners. This month's prize is this incredible limited edition 1/6 scale officially licensed Abaddon from Weta Workshop. God damn, that's hot. But we also wanted to do something a bit more special this month to say thank you for all the support we've gotten on Diced. It was always my dream to make dioramas, so thank you for making that possible. So what is that special thing? Well, if you're a silver member or above, you will get a free major mini sent to you with your metallic dice badge. The mini depends on the tier. Silver will get you a free long looker, gold will get you a free Ra, diamond will get you a free King Orc, emerald will get you a free carry case that comes with a free mini of your choosing, and mythic will get you a true scale King Orc, a model that currently is not available for sale but is one of our most popular items ever. All of this will be on top of your entries in to win the 1/6 scale Abaddon. It also counts if you upgrade your membership, as we will lock it in at the end of the month when the giveaway happens. In the coming days or whenever you really sign up, all members will be emailed with a form asking for their shipping address. Basically, every member above a bros is taking something home, but remember to fill out the address form. One-time membership boosts are still in play to also increase your chances of taking Abby home. Link below to check Diced out. Today we'll go over the brain of a Servitor to definitively answer if becoming a Servitor is literally just death except your body keeps moving around, being someone's bitch, or if there's still a part of you in there. Now let's get into it. So there are a few things we need to keep in mind. Not all Servitors are made equal or the same. There is no template that all Servitors follow. Secondly, Warhammer has many different writers that express Servitors and machine spirits as a huge spectrum of different personalities. For example, let's take the humble Servo Skull. It's literally a drone that uses someone's skull as the main shell. Its mechanics are often very simple and it should literally just act as a drone with no personality. It doesn't have any biological parts other than the actual bone. However, some Servo Skulls are brimming with their own personalities, able to have their own conversations and sentience. A big chunk of that is based on how complex the machinery they were created with was, as well as whose skull was used as the shell. But it is also a bit of a lore inconsistency, so thank you GW for always making my job hard. For Servitors, it goes even deeper. The Mechanicus of Mars make their Servitors in a different way to how the Imperium does. On top of that, some Servitors literally just need to be able to wipe shit off the floor, whilst others need to be able to pilot starships or operate complicated weapons or machinery. Some are designed to make great conversation and act as compelling companions. So I hope you can begin to see this question requires an actual video and not just a YouTube short. Let's break through this bit by bit. Martian Servitors are often vat-grown and are literally born to be Servitors. The tech priests of Mars want their Servitors to be as reliable and obedient as possible. They have no desire for quirks or personalities, so these are some of the most robotic, slave-like, and unsentient of all Servitors. They also never lived as a free person, so they have no concept of memory or a before time. This sounds horrible, but honestly it's probably the best outcome a Servitor can hope for, as it does get a lot worse. Martian Servitors aren't always so cold though. The Mechanicus and Ecclesiarchy once had a cheeky collab where they invented the Arco-flagellants, a very specialized type of combat servitor where a criminal, usually a heretic, is viciously modified and implanted with growth chemicals, weapons, and a ton of combat stims, being driven insane by the pain of their transformation, and unleashed onto battlefields as a berserker unit. These servitors are significantly less controlled, have a lot more freedom, and are extremely emotionally charged. However, calling them conscious may be a stretch due to how insane they are. Now here's where it gets confusing. See, the Mechanicus also create legions of Skitarii. They're cybernetic soldiers who look like Servitors, however are not. There is an ill-defined line that separates Servitors from tech priests, Skitarii, and other heavily augmented humans. I say ill-defined since Skitarii are hyper-loyal through engineering to their forge worlds and do indeed serve them. However, they also maintain individual thought, sentience, and consciousness. The main difference is that a Servitor cannot choose to be loyal, whereas a Skitarii is loyal through choice, although to be fair there isn't much of a choice to begin with. A Skitarii is deliberately given free will and thought to make them more effective warriors who can react to various situations, which when you compare that to a weapon Servitor, who are basically just point and shoot drones, the difference becomes more obvious. The Imperium generally makes its servitors out of criminals or the dregs of society. Crime is rampant throughout the Imperium, and it's a huge waste of resources chucking trillions of criminals in jails and feeding them and guarding them, so instead many of them are turned into servitors, which makes them a highly useful member of society, whilst also putting many would-be criminals off the idea. Once again, there is a huge variance of quality here. Some are crudely lobotomized, roughly grafted with machinery and giving a monotask that a fucking Vroomba would be able to perform. There was a prison servitor whose only purpose was to bring food to the prisoners. However, he was so simply coded that instead of it being programmed to give food to prisoners, it was programmed to go to location X, pick up object, take object to location Y, and give object to prisoner. However, when the food was no longer served due to supply issues, it simply reached out, grabbed empty air, and then took the empty air and gave it to the prisoners, as it could not actually recognize if there was food there or not. That is one dumb fucking servitor. In the same book, which is handy as it means the same writer, there was a weapons servitor on a scouting mission. Its thought process was very basic: tracking enemy, firing weapon, enemy hit, enemy missed, very robotic. However, when that servitor was killed, the last thing she thought of was her child, as she was a mother before she was servitorized. Something that a mechanic and personnel who analyzed her corpse and memory logs thought was weird and some sort of defect, implying that under extreme circumstances, even heavily servitized people can have brief moments of lucidity and bouts of memory. In that very same book, when a demon consumed a servitor, it remarked that the servitor's soul was unsatisfying to consume, telling us that the soul was still present but had been suppressed and tainted by the servitorization process. On the other end of the spectrum, there are mastercrafted servitors, whose augmentations are seamlessly implanted and even beautiful. For these specimens, there is no sign of the classic infection or stink that comes with Krug augmetics. They move gracefully and often have personalities, almost like butlers, serving drinks and food to guests. Their programming is very advanced. It isn't just point A to point B. They are given a directive and fulfill it how they see fit, but they are still very much a robotic lobotomized slave. The process is just more intricate. Instead of getting stun-locked in their brain, parts, like their free will, are replaced with robotics, whilst their ability to process and communicate is left untouched or even enhanced, meaning their free will is gone, but their consciousness remains. In another example, a psycho once tried to read a servitor's mind out of curiosity and immediately regretted it, as despite the servitor appearing calm and complacent, their mind was a mess of pain and insanity, implying that their consciousness was present but was trapped into a part of its brain, able to witness the horror of their own mutilation but powerless to do anything about it. In a similar way to the high-budget, rich person butler servitors, some military servitors are also quite advanced, especially flight servitors, as they must be reacting to things in real time. In the Inquisition series, an inquisitorial flight servitor had its own personality and appeared to show moments of adrenaline and emotion during his duties. I believe this is a side effect of the fact that his overall servitization had to be relatively minor to not impact his flight ability, so they couldn't just mush his brain. However, servitors having main control over ships or machines is pretty rare, with them more so often fulfilling more basic monotasks while humans or tech priests made the decisions. It was a massive spectrum. For example, even a cheaper servitor, like a Lannis person's labor servitor Graft, had quite a big personality as well, despite not apparently having super highly intricate modifications. So it does appear, depending on the severity of the servitorization process, that a piece of you, sometimes a large piece of you, continues to exist when you become a servitor. This brings up an interesting question. Can someone be unservitized and restored to free human function? Like if someone was mildly servitized, but then had the pieces removed, changed or deactivated, could they be normal again? Or at least only mildly retarded? Well, the real answer is no. The process of becoming a servitor is so brutal and induces so much insanity that even if they decide to reverse it physically, you would either be left brain dead or batshit insane. However, there was actually a case of someone, a true one in a trillion, who managed to deservitize. It was a Mechanicus dock worker who was blessed by the Omnissiah. Blessed as in he could fix machines just by touching them, and he had an extreme talent for machinery, similar to the Emperor. However, he got turned into a servitor for complaining about his shit working conditions. However, due to his blessing, he began to slowly regain his memories, consciousness and free will, eventually able to have full conversations. Now I know many servitors can have full conversations, but not the type he was turned into. He was supposed to be a bottom tier lobotomized little bitch, but he soon became Servitor Jesus. He's already even able to begin to make servitors around him regain their own consciousness as well. They ended up going on a mass strike before then committing mass suicide. Cause yeah, just cause you get your free will back doesn't mean you suddenly are happy or aren't insane from the torment. Now there is actually one extremely unique and interesting case or technique of completely reversing servitization, no strings attached. And that is the Hrud, a xeno race of creepy monsters who can fuck with time, rapidly aging or de-aging you with their weaponry. During a battle between the Hrud and the Iron Warriors, they hit the Iron Warriors ship with various time warping weapons. Some space marines turned to dust, some crew were de-aged out of existence, augmentations, but craziest of all, a Servitor was reverted back in time to his pre-Servitor state, the surgery undone and the augmentations falling off him. He just stood there in shock. Now that law was designed as a cool sentence to show off a cool effect of the weapons and wasn't designed as a plot point or anything, but still very cool to see. And yeah, knowing Chaos and the Warp, some warpy thing could happen that could probably reverse Servitization as well, but would probably turn you into a Chaos spawn in the process, so I personally would just go with the Hrud method. So long story short, the answer to if a Servitor can maintain their thoughts, personality and consciousness, or even become deservitized, is that it depends. A Servitor is an extremely broad term, but the answer mostly boils down to how they were servitorized and when they were servitorized, as well as the individual itself. But for 99.9999999% of Servitors, they exist in a state of lobotomized oblivion or pain-induced insanity. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then join Dice Dioramas. All members from Silver to Mythic get a free major mini gift based on their tier, as well as their metallic badge. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more brain dead content. Join the Discord for more memes, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.